podcast. We're here from the Great back to a new Winnie the Pooh 2 Golden Honey video. And today I'm going to be discussing the death scenes in this movie, which, yeah, there are quite a bit amount of interesting ones that I can talk about. I mean, I am going to talk about the ones that I found most interesting, right? The ones that I found most crazy in it, and also trying my best to describe them as well, right? So I do apologize if I do miss some, because I do try to remember most of them at least. So, and I may not go in actual order at itself, but I do want to, of course, talk about them, because some of them are at least made well better than the first movie. Which, yeah, in the first movie there were a lot of brutal death scenes that Pooh and Piglet did in the first movie, but I feel like 2 did the deaths pretty good too, because there were quite interesting ones. Like, let's just say the first one, and I do apologize, I couldn't find any proper clips of taking screenshots to show in the background, so I do apologize. It was just so on the background, it was just so pictures I took from the trailer. So I do apologize, but I'll just be describing them. But the first one, which, if I remember correctly, this is from the opening as well, where we see an RV with some some women that are just hanging out, and yeah, one of them gets absolutely impaled with this thing that goes right through her neck, and then one of them gets her fingers shut in the door and pretty much get her fingers broken. And one of them also tries to escape, but Poe grabs her and pretty much breaks her bones, breaks her legs and arms, and places a bear trap, and pretty much closes the bear trap onto her head, pretty much killing her. And then Owl gets the other girl that actually escaped when the RV got tipped over and set on fire, and pretty much he grabs a stick and pretty much stabs her, the last surviving girl. So Owl and Pooh both getting some kills for the start of the movie. And then, like I said, these are going to be out of order, so I do apologize, but still describing them. And then, of course, we have a son and a dad watching through some binoculars, and the son sees Owl and he freaks out, and then Owl grabs the dad, and pretty much they play post sticks. Yeah, Poe and Owl are on a bridge playing post sticks, pretty much ripped off the dad's limbs, and they're floating down the river. Yeah, that is their version of, as you would probably know from the actual Winnie the Pooh, where they would play post sticks, as Poe would mention. This is their version of playing post sticks, getting body parts and going them down the river. So Poe and Owl just playing post sticks with a son's dad's body parts. And then we have some policemen that go into their lair, their hideout, and Tigger gets released because Tigger was actually in a cage behind a door, and he actually he comes and kills the policeman, because there are several policemen that died in this movie that were searching for, because again, Christopher Robin was framed for all the deaths in the first movie. Christopher Robin was framed for all the deaths that happened in the first movie, because nobody could even find Pooh, Piglet, and all of them, because they were out in hiding. So Christopher Robin was blamed for everything. He was framed of being a murderer, even though he wasn't the one that killed all the people in the first movie. Everybody thought he was crazy when he was trying to tell them that Pooh and all of, even though we know that Pooh is actually Christopher Robin's brother, as we know in the movie, that Christopher Robin's brother, his lost brother that was kidnapped, is actually Pooh, because Pooh, or Christopher Robin's brother and other kids were actually kidnapped to a scientist, a doctor, that performed experiments on them, and the result, and pretty much it resolved to them turning into form, animal form. So Christopher Robin's brother turned into Winnie the Pooh, and then the other kids, Owl, Piglet, Tigger. And I guess we can also count the deaths of the guy that actually took Christopher Robin's brother, because, yeah, he pretty much takes his own life. Yeah, the guy who kidnaps Christopher Robin's brother and pretty much caused all of this to happen, because technically, the guy that did get the children, he was involved in all this happening, and he pretty much takes his own life, pretty much shoots himself in the mouth. Or pretty much, takes his own life because how he felt so bad. And, yeah, he was part of the whole thing of, since Winnie the Pooh is actually Christopher Robin's brother, and all the other kids were turned into, like I mentioned before, Tigger, Piglet, Owl, got turned into them. So, yeah, I will count that as well, because even though it wasn't involved with Pooh and them, I still will count that as a death scene. And then, of course, we have the whole party scene, right? We have the whole party where Tigger and all of them just go and rampage through this killing spree through this party that was happening. Which, I'll just count all of those because there's a lot there. But I'll just say that through that. And then one part where one of Christopher Robin's friends is taking a shower and he comes outside and Owl grabs him and pretty much vomits acid on the guy's face, pretty much killing him. And like I said, most of these are pretty well done compared to the first movie, right? Compared to the first movie. Oh, and we can't forget about Piglet. They did Piglet dirty in this movie. I can just say they did Piglet dirty. They did Piglet dirty in this movie. And because, of course, there were some hunters, right? There were hunters that actually heard about Pooh and them. So they were out hunting, and Piglet was trying to fight, and one of the hunters just pretty much shoots him in the head, killing... Which, of course, if you do not know, they're able to grow back their body parts. Because in the post-credit scene, pretty much, as we can see in the end of the movie, that you would see at the end of the movie, Winnie the Pooh's body, or Billy's body, is starting to grow back. And of course we're getting a 3, right? Obviously leading up to the third movie, which, again, could come out before or after the whole Poohniverse Marvel-like cinematic movie that is coming out next year. So, obviously, Piglet isn't going to stay dead forever. He's going to regrow his head back. And I can't remember exactly if Tigger got killed. I know he got wounded, right? Because there was a part where Christopher Robin did shoot Tigger. But I can't remember if he died or not, right? If Tigger did die. Obviously, he wouldn't have been dead for long, too, because he would have regrown his body parts again. Right, he would have regrown the parts that were gone too. And like I said, there's just lots of them though. Trying to describe all of them though, but definitely a lot better than the first one though. Definitely a lot better, I can say. Because if you've seen some of the death scenes in the first movie and then compare it to the ones that you would see on here, I feel like the sequel definitely did better. And obviously we can't forget about Pooh's deaths, even though he's not going to be dead for long. Like I mentioned before with the post-credit scene, he's not going to be dead for long because Owl grabbed the remains of Pooh's body, and that's where we see in the scene where he promises that they will seek out revenge on Christopher yet again. Which there was a time where Christopher almost got killed by his own brother. Which, speaking of his own brother, we can't forget about Christopher Robin and Winnie the Pooh, aka Billy's parents. Because, Billy Christopher Robin's brother pretty much kills his own parents. I can only assume that the kids, like Christopher Robin's brother, don't have their actual, like, they can't control themselves when they're in these bodies, because I feel like that he would feel absolutely, like, just guilty if Christopher Robin's brother actually felt with his own body of what he just did. But yeah, I also needed to mention that too, because technically that is him doing his own parents like that, right? Because Winnie the Pooh is still Christopher Robin's brother, was just put in with the experiments with as of the other kids. Of course, Owl doesn't get killed, like I've stated before. And like I said, Piglet just did dirty though, or was done dirty. But again, there's lots of them that I kind of don't want to exactly say all of them, but because yeah, I won't. There's a lot that y'all would need to see for yourself, though. I know there are. Obviously, there's clips online, right? There's a lot of clips online that y'all can definitely try to find. I definitely saw that I passed some that clips are being shown online of some of these scenes in particular that I definitely recommend checking out. And yet again, this movie's quality is way better than the first one, and I am glad that the director has said that the reviews ain't gonna stop him from making these movies. Cause yeah, he said that the bad reviews won't stop him from making these movies, and that's actually pretty good to hear about. Cause I'm actually looking forward to seeing where this takes place, or how far he'll be taking Winnie the Pooh and Peter Pan, Pinocchio, Bambi. Because again, obviously they were teased, right? They were teased in the credit scene of Winnie the Pooh 2. And also the little teaser that I made a video talking about Bambi the Reckoning. Which it was a short teaser, but showing Bambi the Reckoning, which I'm pretty sure that's going to be somewhat which I'm pretty sure I heard that they finished filming. Yeah, I'm pretty sure I've heard that they wrapped up filming for Bambi's movie. And of course I'm pretty sure still supposed to be coming out this year in November. And I think they're going to be working on Peter Pan next. Obviously, they still have the whole Pooniverse movie. You know, the whole Marvel-like cinematic universe movie that is coming out next year. And like I mentioned, Winnie the Pooh 3, either before or after. And of course, we still have to get Cinderella's, right? Cinderella's Curse is, from what I've seen, is somewhat coming in May. That is the new release date. But some parts say that it was already released in the US, but very well else it's like May, I think 10th or something. Not too sure exactly. But yeah, that one's definitely a confusing one. But like I said, I'll definitely keep y'all updated for all the things when it comes to this whole universe. Because I'm actually interested to see how this is going to go. Especially with Mickey Mouse or Steamboat Willie, right? Since Steamboat Willie is also, well, it's not exactly made by the exact team as Winnie the Pooh, Peter Pan, Pinocchio, Bambi, right? It's not by the same team, but still, interested to see how they're actually making him part of the family, I guess I would just say. But yeah, again, I definitely wanted to talk about some of the, if not all, then some of the deaths that I would have tried to remember and described them, though. Like I said, there's definitely lots that I have not mentioned, but I just definitely want y'all to see those for yourselves. But again, I can just say some of them are definitely way better than the first movie. And I'm definitely excited to see how they can improve when it comes to the third movie and beyond. Right, especially with them saying that Rabbit is going to be present in the third movie, and we're going to be seeing a much bigger budget than the second movie. And that's going to be insane. A bigger budget than the second movie. And the second movie's budget was already crazy. So I'm crazily to think how the third movie's going to be when we do see first screenshots of it. Which will probably not be for a while, I would say. But yeah, I'd like to know what y'all think. Let me know in the comments below.